How close was Jack Payne to getting up, Chris?
He got better as the week went on, and it was a fair bit closer yesterday, but not close enough for me. I'm not a believer in playing injured players in finals. I've never really ever seen that work all that well. So, and I don't think it helps the player when he's got to go out and play injured necessarily on the big stage. It's asking a lot. No, we decided to not play Jack. We've obviously picked Darcy Gardner, who we're very happy to pick. He's played a lot of footy, Darcy, 160 games with our club, or roughly about that. His season's been really mucked up by injury, but his last 6 weeks have been really consistent. In the last final he played against Williamstown, he didn't play last week, he was our best player. So we think, as unfortunate it is for Jack and for us that he can't play because he's been in the team all year, Darcy's a fantastic replacement.
You've obviously gained a lot of experience bringing him in terms of compared to Jack, but you've lost a little bit of height. Is there any sort of concern with the height advantage Carlton might have in that part of the ground?
Again, it all just depends on the way the ball comes in. That's always the case. What is there? That much between them? Not that much, mate. You can find that in a jump or effort. So, no, not really all that concerned. They have a similar problem down the other end with our tall forwards, so it's pretty even, I reckon.
Do you think it's a 1 week injury for Jack?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Again, if we're good enough to get through and we get to the grand final, he's going to have to jump through hoops to play, because I'm just not going to play injured players in finals.
How tempting was it to put the other Jack with Jack Dunstan?
Well, it was a consideration, but the team's playing really well, so it's difficult to change a team that's going well. And Jack would be the first person to tell you that. In fact, he spoke to me about that on Tuesday. He goes, I know your dilemma, but for what it's worth, if you leave me out, I fully understand, because those guys are going well. So, but it's nice to know he's there in the background. And again, if we're fortunate enough to get through next week, he's an option for us if we need him.
Does that show how much of a team man he kind of is, Fags? Because he would have come up here to Brisbane wanting more success when it comes to pushing for a premiership.
Yeah. He's been on the other side of that too. He's seen that in his days at Hawthorn. Blokes get in the team, play well. You can't sort of jump over the top of him. So he's been around footy a long time. So he has a very selfless approach to it, and he'll be here training with us this morning and passing on all the experiences he's had over the years.
Chris, your opposition's battered and bruised. They're stuck together by band-aids and strapping tape.
You're saying that, not me. I'm not saying that. If they're
going
going out there to play, they're fit to play.
Yeah, but you test them physically, right? That's the.
When you're playing finals, you test every team you play against physically, and that's what they do to you as well. So, we'll go out there and try and play our tough and hard brand, which I think we've played for the majority of the year, and that's Carlton's DNA as well. So it should be a really tough final.
It's been sort of suggested though that with Jonk's shoulder and Cripper's ribs, that perhaps you go a little extra harder on those blokes. Where do you sit on that?
No, I spend more time working out how we're going to win clearances and move the ball from the back line than I do, going after boys that might be a little bit sore. I think you're focusing on the wrong thing when you actually do that. So for me, it's about how we play and how we want to go about our game.
Chris, I remember earlier in the year we were talking about the Geelong game last year, and you said that you guys were cooked going into the game after 2 hard games, both physically and maybe emotionally as well. What's the difference in the feeling, going into this game?
Oh yeah, certainly we've been able to play the one final and get some good rest. So we're fresh. We've got no excuses in that regard. We just got to bring our best footy along, but it's a good position to be in. I think when you've got a younger group, you probably like to play every week. When your group's a little bit older, as ours has become in more recent times, it's good to have that opportunity to rest up and get ready again.
Fagan, you talk about learnings, and it's always about a growth mindset for your team, as you've said for years. With the past experiences that you've learned in finals, you're at the stage now where this is the hurdle you've never been able to jump, get past the prelim into the grand final. What gives you the confidence that this group is ready to do it tomorrow night?
Oh, the fact that we've been through these experiences, that's the first thing. The fact that we're a little bit older, and you have to look at our our finals form gets talked about a bit. I'll point out that we've won 3 of our last 4, so I'm not worried about our finals form at all. I think we started to grow in that area last year as a group. Our early years when we played finals, we were a really young group, and we're just learning. The club hadn't played finals for 10, 15 years or something like that. So I think it's just all the experiences that you have. You grow through your regrets, and no doubt our players have got regrets of making prelim finals and not being able to get to the next step. That's all part of growth. You look at Geelong. Look at Geelong. They won a flag in 2011 and they won last year. And in between times, they lost the grand final. They lost 5 preliminary finals. They lost the semi-final. They lost 2 elimination finals. In between. So that's how they got to the point where they got to last year, and it's the same for us. You learn through your disappointments. They're the greatest teachers of all.
I asked Silks yesterday what makes prelims so hard to win, but what do you think makes them so hard to win?
This is grand final the next week. It's the big prize. So they're always games that you have to play and win more than once. They usually go to the wire. I keep going back to history, but my time at Hawthorn, in that period where we played in 4 grand finals in a row, I think 3 of those preliminary finals were decided by less than a goal. So it's just the nature of the game.
Chris Danaher was very impressive, wasn't he, in the first final, given that he's copped a bit over his goal kicking over the years, but he seems to have really found a groove there, hasn't he?
He's been pretty accurate this year, so hopefully he can keep that going. Probably just got his confidence up, but it's always good if your forwards, when they get their opportunities, kick it through the goal, whether it's Joey or any of the other boys.
Fags, what's he? He's been here 3 years now. What's he brought to you? We see what he's done on the field. He's had his best year. What's he brought to the club off the field?
Well, he's a quiet bloke with a great sense of humour, and I think he's a real teacher in his own sort of way, not to the whole group, but to individuals. He's always chatting to different players, trying to help them. He's a professional in the way that he goes about things, and he's a no-fuss sort of a guy. So all of those things. We've got a wide variety of characters in our footy club, and we love them all for what they bring.
I have to ask about Bossy. I know
Who?
about Michael Voss. I know you won't.
I'm not going to answer any questions about Michael Voss. I don't know Michael Voss other than to say hello to. So what are you asking me about him?
Well, I was more just asking that there is a sense of you guys are having to take on a man and a team he's had so much history with this club. It's forget you as a position as coach. Like for footy fans at home, it's such a great matchup.
I can understand people's interest in that. Yeah, that's something that might excite people's imaginations, I guess. But we're sort of playing Carlton, not Michael Voss, and he's a champion of our club. There's no doubt about that. And he's done a great job with that team this year, particularly with the situation that they were in. To, I think, win 11 of their last 12 games. That's outstanding. So, and I'm really pleased for him because he was under the pump, and I hate it when I see coaches under the pump. So it's good that they've been able to jump out of that. But it's not a topic of conversation in our hallways. It's more of an interest that people outside of our club have, I think.
You've been around a long time. Do you still get excited in moments like this? Do you get nervous? Tell me about you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I've been waking up early this week. The body seems to know when a big game is coming. So no, very much looking forward to it. I mean, I've been around in footy for a long time, haven't I? I worked out the other day. I've been involved in 44 finals in a coach's box. So it's not new to me, but it's always exciting, and you always get nervous about it because there's so much at stake.
Are there nerves?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nerves every week when you're the coach. You're always wondering about all the things that may or may not happen. But I've got a lot of trust in our group, which we've built over a period of time. And I've seen real growth in their maturity this year. So I know that when the siren goes, that it's pretty much out of my hands, and I've just got to, maybe make a few decisions every now and then and say a few words to keep them heading in the right direction. But it's really down to them. And that's the thing that I've loved about our group this year, that the ownership they've taken over performance and the general way we go about things at our club.
You go on those long walks. You're well known for your walks with players and walks by yourself. What have you been thinking about on those long walks this week? What are the things that have been making your mind?
You think about selection. What's the right team to pick? You think about obviously the tactics you want to use in the game to try and negate the opposition's strength and to expose them to your strengths. They're the main things you sort of think about. pretty normal things that the coach thinks about every week. Just the stakes are a little bit higher this week.
Chris, do you give yourself a chance to appreciate how far the club's come since you arrived? I know you want to stay for now, but looking at it with a bit of context, like it's been 5 good years, but they've come a long way in that time.
Yeah, every now and then you reflect on that, but not for long. I suppose it's not just about the team itself and the fact that we've been so consistent for the last 5 years and been able to win so many games. It's the fact that we fill our stadium most times now. That we've got a new home to train in when we used to train at 7 or 8 different venues around Brisbane in the summer. You know, the club now makes good profits and we're making big losses. So it's more than just the team itself. It's the whole of the club, and I think the fact that the public of Brisbane have really got behind the team is such an exciting thing. And I think we play a brand that people like and enjoy. When you come here, you usually have a good time. So I think it's just a little bit bigger than just the team itself. But I'm really proud of what the team's done. There's no doubt about that.
And like yesterday, Lohman was saying how I might not have a spot this side, but it doesn't matter. I want to be here and learn off Charlie and take my chance. Like, that's a pretty good indication of where things are at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that.
No, we like it when our players stay, because there was a time. It's probably a little bit before my time, but there was a time when the players came here and wanted to leave pretty quickly. So the fact that we've been able to retain the players that we've drafted mostly, and other than Dan McStay, that was a go-home thing, but he'd given us good service. I think we've made the place a good place for our players to come to, and a place where they feel like they grow and develop as footballers and as people, more importantly.
Chris, you talked about the opening finals. Sorry, you talked about that finals record a couple of years ago. Some of that criticism was personally directed at you and your coaching. Do you have a sense of
which one about that, wasn't it?
In terms of your early finals record, back-to-back straight to exceptions, some of that criticism was of your own coaching.
Well, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
There was plenty of it.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a sense of indication that this club continues to get back to the last 4 and has a chance once again to get into a grand final?
No, not really, because I have a different philosophy to maybe the media. Mine's all about growth and development, and I see failure and regret as a chance to grow and develop. So for me, I never took it personally. I knew where we're at. I knew it was going to take us a little bit of time to learn to play well in finals, because we're such a young team, and we jumped really quickly. If you remember, we went from 16th to 2nd, and it was like, well, that's a little bit fast, but I think we've taken those opportunities, and I think the team you see now is the best version of ourselves, and I've only ever focused on that, not any criticism that's directed towards me, because I know where we were at 6 or 7 years ago. We couldn't win a game, so we've come miles. So I just smile about that and keep moving forward.
It's a lot different to 12 months ago. One player that's come in, Josh Dunkley, targeted in the off-season. How does he change this side in a prelim as well, with his experience, grand final experience, and what he adds in the midfield?
Yeah, well, obviously all the experience stuff that you talk about there, but he's probably the best two-way midfielder in the competition. He can, win the ball himself and get it going our way, but he plays a really good defensive game. So there are not many of those. Often the guys that are good at defence in the midfield are the ones that tag, but he can actually play and win the ball and do a job at the same time.
I know this venue, Fags, you talk about it. You've got to win the game regardless of the crowd. You can play.
So why are you asking me about the venue? But doesn't win it for us.
I want to ask you about your record here, because if you win on tomorrow night, you've gone the whole season not losing a game, and that must be really special for you and the team as an achievement, because you have set out what you wanted to do, and that's make this place a fortress.
If we do it, then it will be. We've got to do it. Yeah. So I can't afford to think about that. Obviously, we're aware of it. And yes, we did a long time ago. We couldn't hardly win a game here. So one of the first steps in our development was to try and make this place a hard place for opposition teams to come to. And I think by and large, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've managed to do that somehow.
Craig McRae's at the MCG crowd for them is just like, it is a massive weapon. Do you feel the same here?
Yeah, our crowd definitely helps us. There's no doubt about that. I think there'll be quite a few Carlton supporters here tomorrow night, so I think the other team will get a bit of noise. The ticketing setup's a little bit different for finals, but I still think there'll be more of ours here. And I don't think there'll be as many Carlton people as there were at the MCG last week. They were loud and noisy. I reckon there were 75,000 of them were Carlton. So.
Can I just ask about Josh again? What has he brought to the midfield group as far as maybe like a training or not just what he's doing on game day, I suppose?
Yeah, look, he's a great man on preparation and professionalism. But I think most of our midfielders have been good at that. He maybe takes it to another level. He's always working on his craft. He's always on his recovery stuff. He's just a total professional, so you couldn't help but learn off him.
Chris, can I just get one on the weekend, Saturday, tomorrow night, yourselves and the Broncos? I mean, this city's seen nothing like it before, and you're the opening act.
Yeah, so, let's hope both teams get the win. That'll be good for the town. It'll be even more exciting the following week. So it's good for Queensland sport in general to have teams that are up there in the national competitions. There's no doubt about that. And the good thing about it is it inspires young people, young men and women in the place to want to play the game. So there's benefits in all directions.
Chris,
last one.
Dane was saying yesterday that he wants to stay next season. You keen for him
What's
to stay?
that, mate? Sorry?
Dane Zorko was saying yesterday that he wants to play on next season. You keen for
Did he?
to go on?
I haven't talked to him about that. So we'll worry about tomorrow. See how the year ends up. But he's playing good footy. He's actually getting better as the year goes on, as he's developed a bit more trust in his body. So, we'll deal with that when the season's all over. But I'm glad that he's thinking so positively. Yeah.